The women of a madman. I like that.
Oh my goodness. Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as the Funky Chicken. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Oh my goodness. We had to bring it back. Fire the GM shirt. Fire the GM. I went to bed last night and thinking that the Dallas Cowboys come tomorrow would have $72 million with the rollover before the major moves that they made. And of course, we were disappointed because we ended up having Javonte Williams signed as running back, who basically is Rico Dowdle light, I will say. Whether we want to or not, our job is to shovel the shit for the GM. And you're going to see all kinds of highlights and things of him, and you're going to be sold that this is a great move and that the Cowboys are doing great things. No, Derrick Henry would be a great thing. Saquon Barkley would be a great thing. This is more of the same. This is not to settle Javonte Williams, or that we also made a second signing. We made a second signing.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Oh my God. This was about 10 hours ago. Late last night. Drum roll, please. Oh, I don't have a drum roll set up in here. But drum roll, because the Cowboys signed Robert Jones. Me and Robert Jones. He's coming to the Cowboys. Robert Jones. 6'4", 325 pounds, who was a 17-week starter for the Miami Dolphins last year. 17-week guard. 4 years in the NFL. And he signed a 1-year deal. And basically is a swing offensive lineman. This is to basically replace Chimo Agoda. I used to always say Mr. Roboto. Don't know what I got from Mr. Robot. I don't know where I got it. I'm just old and crazy. But Chimo Agoda, gone. And so Robert Jones is now the brand new flavor in your ear to help out on the offensive line. He does have starting experience, so that is a good thing. But I don't know that he is going to be a starter here. This is a depth piece. And Javonte Williams, I'm going to put up, hopefully I don't get copywritten. This is some highlights of Javonte.
First down, first run of the day.
Let me definitely take that. Okay. This is some highlights of Robert Jones. Nice run right there. We're going to be told that, hey, this guy's going to be good and this, that, and the other. But I'm not sure that this is who you're going to want to be your starter at running back. This is a nice depth move. This would be going into last season, you would say that this was Rico Dowdle. Now, the thing about this is you look at these and say, hey, those are some great plays and stuff. This guy's explosive. And we're going to think that we're going to see this on every single play. But the reality is this is a guy who's averaged about 4 yards per carry in his NFL career. He's a decent runner. This is not Tony Pollard right here, okay? And we went into a season with Tony Pollard as our starting back, and that wasn't enough. He is a stocky heavier back, so he may be better as far as between the tackles. But this isn't it. And so it's kind of funny because when I woke up this morning with a message from Walker Wade. And let me actually pull it up here. Walker Wade. The Cowboys have not signed a free agent over $6 million per year in free agency since Greg Hardy in 2015.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
The salary cap has increased $135 million since then. His next response are, we're cooked, Mark. We're cooked. Now, I do have, I guess, hopes now that an aging, broken down wide receiver, that we might sign him tomorrow. That's where our hopes are right now. That a guy who has not been able to play 12 games a season over the last 3 years is our hope of making a big move. That's literally where we are right now as Dallas Cowboy fans. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. We just don't do things. Now, I will say this much. I am a person who likes to look at the positive side of things as much as possible. The one thing I will say is this at least is some movement of free agency. If you'll remember at this time, last year, we saw Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Biadish, Tyron Smith, Tony Pollard, Stephon Gilmore, all just leave and sign with other teams, or knowing that they were going to be gone and weren't going to be coming back. At least we can look and say, we've done more than sign the long snapper, which was like 3 days in. They've at least are taking care of some depth issues, and the cake is not completely baked right now. The biggest thing I wish that they would do right now would be to get Micah Parsons done. Now, we'll be watching The Wire here and looking and seeing what the Cowboys do. Washington, they ended up going for Laramie Tunsil yesterday, which definitely is going to help them on the offensive line. Washington is really loading up for bear. Eagles lost a few players. They made the trade, getting rid of Kenny Pickett for another quarterback and a draft pick and things like that. You know, they haven't made major moves thus far. But you have to catch those guys. And Javonte Williams and Robert Jones aren't going to be enough for us to catch those guys. We have to do more. And maybe, for all we know, maybe we are working on something big. Maybe. So I'm still trying to catch up on everything from yesterday. And I'm going to go to, did Myles Garrett basically throw a wrench into the Cowboys' plans? And this is a look all the way around here at what's been going on with free agency action.
He's going to tell you what it means. Let's start with this. Dan, Josh Allen got paid huge money in Buffalo yesterday. What does that mean, and what do they do next?
They have a championship quarterback, but they got to get better on the perimeter offensively, but most importantly, their defense. Championship quarterback, not a championship-level defense. In their last 5 playoff losses, this defense has given up an average of 27-plus points. That is not going to win you a Super Bowl. Their quarterback in that span, 20 touchdowns, only 3 giveaways. He is an outstanding player worth every single penny, they got to get a championship level defense around them.
Danny, let's talk about Devontae Adams. He has signed with the Rams. What does that mean?
I don't like this one. I absolutely love it. He is going to kill defenses on crosser routes in this offense. His last 7 games last year, 47 catches, over 690 yards, 6 touchdowns. Yards per game, he was 7th in that span in the NFL at 92. Guess who was number 1? Puka Nacua. This offense in LA can now go toe-to-toe with what is the best offense in the NFL, in the Philadelphia Eagles. This is an offense that can score with anybody.
And then the big story of yesterday, although the way the world works, it feels like a year ago now. Right. Myles Garrett is staying in Cleveland. What does that mean?
Well, it's the biggest win the Browns have had in years. And 2, they got to know who their quarterback is. I can't imagine that Myles Garrett has come out publicly and said it's about winning, it's about winning, it's about winning, and then he signs this contract without knowing what their plan is at quarterback. They either have a very clear idea that, yes, Kirk Cousins is coming, or I would take it a guy at 2. But at the end of the day, this is absolutely horrible news for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys.
I agree with that part of what you said. I disagree with the first part of what you said. We'll get to the Cowboys side of it in a minute. Here's what I'm going to say, and I understand it is an unpopular opinion. I believe Myles Garrett is an extraordinary player, once in a lifetime, maybe the best defensive player in the NFL. I agree with all of those things. I also firmly believe that if the Cleveland Browns could have gotten a king's ransom in a trade for him, they should have done it. This is a team that did nothing but lose with the best defensive player in the league. Whether they recognize it or not, they are a team that desperately needs to rebuild, start all over again, and the best way to do that is to try to turn him into your Herschel Walker. I believe they made an enormous mistake. This is not in any way a statement about how great Garrett is. It is a statement about how bad that team is. I would have traded him if I could have gotten the king's ransom. I assume someone would have offered me. What do you think?
I think that's wrong, and here's why. You want to create an aura of association, and if you trade Myles Garrett for a lot of value, Greeny, and you're trying to have player X or Y come in, who's your quarterback, and what do you stand for? You are in the first year of a multi-year rebuild. You have a head coach and obviously GM that's late. It's getting late early for them. So to me, Myles Garrett at least says, hey, we have the best non-quarterback in the NFL. We're going to build from there. And now, obviously, we got to get the
They literally didn't get one iota better yesterday. They just got more expensive. They already had him, and they got the second pick in the draft for a reason.
I would have fought my way out of Cleveland as best I possibly could if I was Myles Garrett. I thought he was serious about wanting to win. I mean, it's either he knows something I don't know, or he just went back there because he got paid. And I understand, and I'm happy for the contract. He deserves every penny. I mean, the best defensive player in the league. This guy, not only 4-down defensive player, the way he's able to rush field goals, block kicks, do everything. And I thought he had the cachet to say, hey, I want out. You're going to find me to a winner. Would have loved to see him somewhere like the Commanders. But this here, I don't see Cleveland being relevant at all in the near future. And it's just like one of the greatest defensive players that I've seen as an analyst. Just going to be caught up in the wash.
Graz, get in here.
Remember the Rodney Dangerfield movie Back to School, and there's a scene where Ned Beatty plays the dean, and it's, how could you do this? And he says, well, in our defense, it was a really big check. Myles Garrett went from having a trade demand to having a no trade clause yesterday morning. So obviously it's a very convincing amount. But yeah, look, this is an owner and Jimmy Haslam, an ownership group that's trying to get a stadium built. They did not want their best player to walk out the door when the quarterback situation's a wreck. Myles Garrett's the closest thing they have to face of the franchise. And I think it got to a point, much like it did once upon a time with Deshaun Watson, where he told them he didn't want to go there, so they just threw a big pile of money at him and he changed his mind. I think that's what happened with Myles Garrett. What it means for the Browns, I agree with you. What it means for the Browns going forward, I think, is greater challenges in roster building.
Orlovsky.
No one had a better weekend than Micah Parsons, and no one had a worse weekend than Jerry Jones. Micah Parsons is now going to sit there and go, all right, well, you're going to have to pay me so many American dollars. And Jerry Jones now has to figure out how to pay Micah Parsons all of that money while also paying Dak Prescott all of that money while also paying CeeDee Lamb all of that money.
After this deal came out, he posted that. You don't need me to interpret it for you. That was basically him saying, yes, I just got much, much richer. Tannenbaum.
Greeny, yesterday I'm sitting there. He made $30 million in a couple hours. Him and Jamar Chase as arguably the next two best non-quarterbacks. had an unbelievable afternoon.
Okay, so let's then address that side of this, because you identified the two players and the two teams that have just screwed this thing up so badly it's incredible. I'm not a business expert, but it is very easy to see that every single year the best players in the NFL get more expensive, not less. And the Cowboys act like they're going to get cheaper the longer they wait.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
That it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And in some cases, maybe the players wanted to draw these things out. But somehow, almost all the other teams, when they have must-sign players they have to keep with them forever, they manage to get deals done in a timely fashion. And Jamar Chase might be the best receiver in the whole NFL. The Bengals should have signed him last year. Now they're going to have a whole lot more money. And the Cowboys, Micah Parsons, this is going to be exactly like CeeDee Lamb and exactly like Dak Prescott. They're going to have $1 trillion locked up in 3 players.
Yeah, right. It feeds on itself, right? Because like even if the Cowboys want to get the deal done, now your top players have learned over the years, if I take this all the way to the end, I'm going to get everything I want.
Great point.
And if you don't take, and if you take it all the end, I mean,
This is true.
I don't know. It's not a possibility of trading this guy. He's just too valuable.
I don't think they're going to trade him. No.
I mean, it didn't work with. I mean, Miles wanted out of Cleveland. They don't want to do that. They don't want to lose their players, and Dallas Cowboys don't want to lose Micah Parsons either.
No, I don't. Let me be clear. I don't want to lose Micah Parsons. I don't want to lose Myles Garrett. But sometimes hard decisions have to get made.
Usually the formula is you pay them early and trade them late. I mean, I don't know. The GM's over here.
Well, they've already not done the first part of that.
Yeah.
They haven't. They don't pay them early.
No,
and the Bengals are now letting Trey Hendrickson explore options. What are we doing here, people?
Greeny, look, I had the privilege of being in front offices for over 20 years, and there were some
not doing
decisions
shit
that kept you up at night that were going to impact people and their families. There are some decisions that are really easy. If you have a young, productive point scorer or someone that rushes the passer, get them signed right now. Don't wait any longer. And in this case, you could quantify it was a $30 million mistake by the Bengals and by the Cowboys, because those are young, high character, productive, durable point scorers and pass rushers that never leave your program. And by waiting, you're just costing yourself millions of dollars.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
With the decisions by both organizations, Cincinnati and Dallas, it's hard to envision them fielding competitive teams. I understand having stars, but if you're going to pay 3 guys that amount of money, you need up that much cap space, it's just hard for you to contend.
Shut up.
I mean, this is with restructures. That you've got all that money that's going to get tied up into those 3 players. And for the Cowboys to consistently wait and to watch the Myles Garrett. And listen, there's also not a lot of people that are in the Myles Garrett conversation, so this is not going to affect everybody. Micah's in that conversation.
Super quick finish.
That end, like Micah's cap number will go down when they extend him, so that actually will help this year's cap. I mean, look, they'd love to get it done. At this point, the odds are pretty good that it's going to drag out the way the other big ones have for them, just because Micah knows that he can do it.
And Cincinnati, after listening to Joe Burrow talk at the Super Bowl, he's going to be cranky about this one. Adam Schefter is up early with us this morning and has probably not put his phone down for 1 second.
Okay, we're going to end it right there. So pulling up here. Robert Jones. Me and Robert Jones. His overall grade is a 56.1, which is 94th in guards. If you think that there are 2 starting guards on each team, that gets you to 64. That kind of puts you where he is exactly at the moment. Pass blocking, he's 89th. Run blocking, 97th. So what you're looking at is your 3rd or 4th best guard on an NFL roster by average. But that's not to say, because let me preface this. Sometimes you get a diamond in the rough. A guy like Nate Newton was cut by Washington for being too fat, played in the USFL, came to the Cowboys, and became one of the best offensive linemen that we had. So there's always that possibility. But the Cowboys, they're going to need to do more than the Robert Joneses and the Javonte Williams to compete. We just are. At least we got some depth. All righty, good people. We will be talking to you soon. And keep the faith, even when there doesn't seem like